progress reports from your presidency. So, who would like to start?
I can begin. So, yesterday I came to you with the report that we had passed one recommendation from proposal 2. I'm happy to report that we have now passed 2 recommendations we have tabled discussion on one recommendation. We have completely canceled 2 recommendations, recommendation 4 and 5 on proposal 2. We are currently in the midst of discussing recommendation 6, and hopefully I'll have a chance to report on that one soon as well. But it's been a great experience. It's been it's been filled with frustration, but a lot of joy as well, to be honest, a lot of laughter in our committee. And I think CJ actually described it very well yesterday. He said
it was a baptism by fire.
Yes, yes, but wonderful overall. I really enjoyed working with all the heads of government. You're all great, and you're all great. And I'm looking forward to the last meeting that's coming up.
So similarly, the foreign ministers are very animated in their discussions. We have wonderful perspectives in each certain state. We have proposed and passed one recommendation on Israel and Gaza, so it's very important. Yes, this recommendation states that the European Union will propose a call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza with the release of all hostages and additional border crossings for increased humanitarian aid. And they also call for Israel to they also call for a 2-state solution with the Palestinian Authority and Israel. So these are ongoing events, and thank you to all delegates in the Foreign Affairs Council for their imperative, important, and so timely perspectives and
Yeah, so the EcoFin committee has been rather productive. Our members have been creating a lot of amendments for proposal 5. We did pass proposal 6 after an amendment that was amicable to both sides, Hungary and everybody else. I have faith in our finance ministers that we will pass another proposal today because they've been very productive. We've worked together very well, and I'm proud of all of them for the work they've done. So thank you all for a great experience. I look forward to working with you for the next session.
For corporate, we've been very productive on proposal 9 with quite a few recommendations added and more amended. I would like to thank all of you for being able to move so quickly. However, due to an error in voting procedure on my behalf, the results on this are inconclusive. They will be resolved shortly in the next session. I want to thank all of my coworkers for making this committee so interesting to watch, and I look forward to discussing the alternate agenda items in the next session.
European Council President.
Well, hello everyone. Hello again. I'm not going to repeat what Prime Minister De Cruz said in regards to the actual agenda proposals, but I will say that as chairing this committee, it has certainly been an experience. There's been a lot of spirited debate, a lot of interesting opinions have been made across the floor. It is true that we've made some progress since yesterday, which is great. I don't know if you recall, but yesterday I talked about encouraging people to use our WhatsApp group chat more in order to promote collaboration And oh, there people are talking in it right now, which is great. So even outside of the committee meetings, it really goes to show that the work of the European Union is always ongoing, and the idea that we should all be collaborating and working together goes far beyond the walls of the little room that we're in. And it's been a great pleasure being your chair. Even though there have been a little hiccups with parliamentary procedure, I haven't really had much of experience chairing a group as, I guess, alive or as large as you guys. It's certainly been an enlightening experience. Hopefully it will help me when I, chair future things in the future. But it's certainly been a lot of fun. A little stressful, but it's okay. That's kind of part of the job. That's what the European Council President is kind of supposed to do. But I look forward to seeing you guys after lunch, working with you for the rest of the conference, and I look forward to seeing you all later.
So this morning I spent a lot of time in the Foreign Affairs Committee, but I've been keeping track of goings-on everywhere else as well. And it seems like we've done a lot of great work, we've made a lot of great progress. However, I would just like to remind everybody that to keep in touch with the other members of your delegation. Remember that every committee proposal does eventually end up going up to the heads of government to be voted on. And so just to remember that your heads of government eventually will have to approve everything, and so to remember to keep open that communication with the other committees as well. Other than that, I've been very proud of all the progress we've been making so far, and I hope we have a even more productive afternoon.
I will repeat what my colleague said. I am very pleased that yesterday we were able to pass one proposal and we were able to continue our discussion today regarding the situation in Israel and Palestine. Right now, as we speak, we are still trying to negotiate the ethical question of whether it is appropriate for the community as a whole to be negotiating with the organization of Hamas. But I am very hopeful that by the end of the formal session, we will be able to reach consensus. Thank you everyone for being here today, and we hope you have a wonderful experience.
Now it's time for everyone's favorite part. Our mics are not working, so you will have to just be loud.
All right, Fox again with Fox News. Outlets here, but Europe's in good hands. So my first question is to the Prime Minister of Sweden. So far, the European Council has only passed 2 recommendations. Could you comment on the inefficiency and dysfunctionality of the European Council on deliberating on the proposed agendas?
Yeah, I think we're a very passionate group. We get a lot of different opinions. So I stand up for those different opinions, but we are moving a lot slower than anticipated. We've only passed a couple things, so I'm looking hopefully to the future at point 7 particularly to pass something really cool that I think is very amenable. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good conference. I also think Spain could talk a little bit more about how we're planning to move efficiently forward.
All right, so there has been, echoing Sweden's point, there has been very passionate conversations, to say the very least. I think the biggest thing that the heads of government can look to the future to amend so we can move faster through our proposals is to be a little more conscious about our motions. I think our motions are getting a little diluted. I feel like there are some motions that are conflicting with one another. They have multiple layers. That might not be the best point of action if we want to really push stuff that we're really passionate about and see some really great collaboration. So I would just like to recommend to actually everyone in this room to be very concise with their moves, their motions, so we can push an agenda that we all are very happy with. Thank you.
passed recommendation to encourage member states to meet a 1.3% of GDP defense spending. How is it a prerogative of the EU to tell sovereign nations how to spend their taxpayers' money?
So, the EU does have an invested goal to defend its borders, defend its shared borders, and maintain the sovereignty of the EU as a whole and each individual member state. In regards to the 1.3% of the GDP expenditure on defense, this is just to encourage member states to push the limits of how much they can spend on defense. This will help the EU as a whole, especially since we're incentivizing military expenditure by discounting military technology. So basically, if any countries were below the 1.3% GDP expenditure, they would be able to buy discounted military equipment, which allows them to get to that 1.3 mark and even higher if they were to go with this program. Especially since we also added a clause that if there are any countries above the 1.75% of GDP expenditure, they would also be able to access increases of military discounted military technology. So it just keeps pushing that ceiling of military expenditure so we can protect our borders and protect the EU as well. Thank you.
Next, I have a question for the Hungarian Foreign Minister. Can you touch on your comment that Viktor Orban was ordained by a higher than man and, quote, descended from the heavens?
Obviously, I was speaking in metaphor. The wonderful and amazing Viktor Orban deserves all of our appreciation for the work that he puts in to help the European Union function. So I think we don't want to take words out of context here. And if you really heard the full statement, you would know that I was just showing how much I admire our amazing Prime Minister.
Next is for Denmark, Prime Minister of Denmark. Can you respond to allegations stating you claim Denmark is ready to jump into war with Russia right now?
Denmark would like to ask you, where are you finding your sources?
Fox News does not reveal our anonymous.
If Denmark were to allegedly state that, we would just like to point out to every Prime Minister here that we have been sending aid for years now, and when it will stop? When will we actually do something again to see the war happening within Ukraine, if Denmark ever said that? Within Ukraine, happening within Ukraine.
Next, for the German corporer, can you clarify your statement from today's meeting stating Ireland doesn't care about its potato farmers and Italy doesn't care?
I propose an amendment to create a minimum wage for farmers across Europe 5 times. And they struck it down every single time. I don't know why. That leads me to believe that they don't care about their potatoes at all.
Prime Minister of Finland, can you provide insight to your request to suspend Hungary's voting rights in today's council?
In our committee. However, there's been a lot of discourse, a lot of problems within the past 2 hours, and it has been intensely difficult to pass a recommendation. All of us are trying so hard, but there is the Prime Minister of Hungary, and their stance is not budging. They made that perfectly clear. They've been hard to work with, and it was just said as a possibility. And, you know, it had a lot of support, but is that we get as many of the recommendations passed as possible so we can further pass the resolution. Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, Prime Minister Orban, you have claimed a passage of a EU drone production program would, quote, escalate to World War III and promote a anti-peace agenda. What is Hungary's opinion on the role of the European Union in terms of European defense?
Well, we believe that it's up to each individual member state to provide defense. We do believe that we can strengthen our defense. However, we do believe with these large-scale drones, a significant portion of them will be donated to Ukraine and enhance the war and lead to more people dying. We are here on behalf of peace. We are proposing a peace-loving agenda.
Okay. I have two quotes that I would like you to respond. President Macron has stated, "I don't know why a democracy built to foster cooperation is dealing with a tyrant." And Slovenia has stated, "When Russia comes to us and we all die, I'm blaming Hungary." How would you like to respond to these comments?
Well, those quotes are funny, but they are actually they are revealing, because there has been times in our committee where there's just been a complete breakdown of decorum and ad hominem attacks. Therefore, we are trying our best to keep an open mind. We are professional. We are here on Hungary's interests. They can insult me all I want. All I want is to provide what's best for my people, my families, and my constituents. Thank you.
Before I continue, do we have any general questions?
I'd like to open the floor to questions from the general.
Mr. Orban.
Oh, sorry. I pointed, yes.
I do have a question for the Prime Minister of Hungary. You said you wanted what's best for your people and for your family. Your son is in the military, and let's say you guys got attacked, and instead of sending a drone to take out the enemies, you sent your son. You don't have any drones. Your son gets killed in action. You could have fixed this with a drone.
We believe that, first off, how dare you? Arrogance that you think you know better than I do how to provide for my people is insane. In doing this large-scale drone production program, we believe we will elongate the war with Ukraine, and we believe that this could lead to World War III. And that's how my son goes to war. Thank you.
Could the Commission comment on the possibility of the implementation of Article 7 and the removal of voting rights?
As it stands, the Article 7 is only to be invoked in the most extreme of circumstances. We believe it would not be appropriate under the course of normal debate in the Council.
So, you really mentioned the fact that you're representing your people, and that's why you were elected democratically. But you showed yesterday and today in the meetings that you were not really in favor of a more powerful European Union, and you're really trying to, you really show some anti-European ideas. But I would like to remind you that 72% of the Hungarian population is in favor of the European Union. On top of that, I would also like to tell you that I think you don't understand the fact that drones can be used outside of military utility. For instance, you know that some countries like France have a lot of nuclear plants in the EU, well, they would just want to use drones to protect the nuclear plants. That could be just an innovation, just like Airbus, for instance. Airbus is a huge success in the EU. We can just promote innovation instead of sending drones to Ukraine. The fact is, you were worried about sending drones to Ukraine, but that would never work because you know that we need to vote that unanimously, and you would just vote no. But we can just agree on innovation for the EU.
Yeah, I could just say something really quickly off the bat because we had this whole conversation in the Hague, so we could talk about this later. But first of all, the fact that you believe that you represent the interests of my population that democratically elected me into office better than myself is insane. Thank you.
In the very back of the talk.
Echoing on Hungary's point on Article 7, are you saying we cannot invoke it or we should not invoke it?
We believe that invoking it would not be appropriate in this context. We'll have to check with to ensure that it may not be compliant with EU law as well, but we'll have to make sure on that.
May I like to ask, for hypothetical reasons, what would be an appropriate Article 7?
The Commission believes that the continued discussion of Article 7 in this context is best reserved for the committee sessions and not this forum.
Any other questions?
On that note, obviously it was something that was brought up in the European Council. Do we have and will we have an official verdict when we get back to Council?
So for the verdict is no.
I will put out an official statement on the subject before we begin our next functional meeting.
My question is for the Belgian Foreign Affairs Minister, and my question is, could you defend your position in front of this larger body on your willingness to negotiate with Hamas, a known terrorist organization committed to the destruction of Israel? Whoa.
I would like to clarify my earlier response. Originally, it is known that terrorist organizations operate in many agencies that are represented in the military sector. And originally, I was comparing it to the civil rights movement, and the fact that when we gave Black Americans the right to vote, and negotiated with them, things got more peaceful. We saw less protests. Well, let me take that back. Likewise, I would like to compare that to working with organizations that can be negotiated with. However, Southern does continue to strongly condemn Hamas's violent actions and their terrorist operations, and we do continue to stand in line with the EU in that terrorist organizations should not be negotiated with. Therefore, that statement is primarily on the basis that because Brussels is right now at the epicenter of so many Hamas and terrorist organizations, and as a whole, they're not just Hamas, but other groups. That is why we suggested negotiating with them as a potential possibility of upholding human rights and freedom of speech that all democracies follow. However, we do recognize that it is necessary to condemn their actions and promote safety, democracy, and human rights as a whole.
I can take one more question. So who really wants it?
This is for the wonderful, gracious Mr. Levon. So I just want you to clarify on the comment that you were democratically elected and no respect for your people. Are you saying that because you were elected democratically, you are flawless when some of the worst leaders and human rights violators in history were democratically elected?
Is there a point responding to that question?